What's up YouTube, Car Boss here, back in another video where I talk about cars, money, investing. Today's video, I'm going to talk a bit about some purchases I did over the weekend. So normally I don't do these kind of videos, but I thought that the cards that I bought, specifically on Sunday night, were kind of interesting. Like it's kind of like a good mix. So I thought maybe I just want to share the thought process of my recent purchases, and just to let you guys know what are the stuff that I'm looking at and the angles that I'm looking at, which may or may not be useful to you guys, right? So first I've got 5 items here which I purchased, right? It's a mix of between Formula One, I got Marvel, I got one sports card here, and yeah, that's basically it, right? So I want to talk a bit about each of these cards and why I actually bought them, right? So I want to talk about Formula One first. So I got two Formula One cards here. This is a George Russell purple refractor in the SGC 10, which I bought for $1,175, as well as a raw Topps Chrome orange refractor that's out of 25 for $700 for Lewis Hamilton. Now, the reason behind these two cards are pretty interesting. So as you guys know, I'm actually looking at Formula One. So that's the new area that I'm looking at. And of course, like most people, we're actually looking into some of the top drivers in this space. So you talk about like Max Verstappen, who recently won the race in GP Miami. Of course, we have Charles Leclerc. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name properly. Then of course we have George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, and a few others like Lando Norris, who unfortunately didn't finish the race. But drivers such as up and coming drivers such as George Russell is pretty popular in the space, and I'm pretty excited to add this SGC 10 rookie card in a sense, right? And it's a purple refractor that's our $399. The condition, I think there's been talked about in a lot of other F1 videos, whereby the initial flagship product of the Topps Chrome 2020 condition hasn't been pretty good, so it's been tough to get good grades, right? So the average grades was like basically PSA 8 and PSA 9, or maybe PSA 8s and 7s, right? So 9s and 10s are kind of premiums, and this is an SGC 10. Of course, SGC 10 doesn't equate to a PSA 10, but generally I will rate this on the above average grades. Now, referring to only the purple refractors or the color refractors, right? So the base cards and the silver refractors, condition-wise, kind of seems to be a bit better, because I noticed that the gem rates are considerably higher as compared to the colored and numbered parallels, right? So these were the two reasons why I actually went into Hamilton as well as in George Russell. And this particular card here is actually considered what we call the portrait card, or it's considered true rookie card, whereas this Hamilton here is considered like a subset or insert. I wouldn't say it's insert, but more of a subset, but one of the more popular ones, and this is numbered out of 25. Subsequently, there was one that was sold on PSA 9 for about $1,100, so you can tell that there is a little bit of upside, and the entry price that I've got in, so one of the reasons why I booked in this particular card. Moving on to sports, right? So it's been quite a while since I've actually bought a sports card, right? So, but I still do monitor some of the prices on some of the key players, especially NBA playoffs that are currently running, right? So, but of course, I have my eyes on mainly the GOATs at the moment, because prices for them are kind of like stable, right? The Jordans, the LeBrons, the Kobes. So this particular LeBron 2005 X Fractor is numbered out 90 in PSA 9, only for $1,400. I've been monitoring this card, and it's been going around roughly about close to the $1,800 to $2,000 range. So I was pretty excited to get this one at this particular price, surprisingly to myself. So that's why I have this particular in my card. So the recent purchases, or at least attempted purchases on NBA cards, hasn't really got me into anything yet, because I was setting my price expectations a bit lower than normal. It's not that I'm not optimistic about sports cards in general, just that I'm spending the more of my budget into other areas such as F1 and Marvel. But if I was to get a good deal such as this particular extractor for $1,400, I'll take it anytime. Alright, two Marvel cards here, right? So one's this Vibranium Spider-Gwen and a Wolverine Rittenhouse 75th anniversary. So again, I am not super bullish on Marvel at the moment. Things have died down. I talked a lot about it in my previous videos, right? How the PMG has come down quite a fair bit, and also affecting a lot of card prices. But there are certain pieces which are still trending along pretty well. Vibraniums are still doing okay. I don't see big money being paid for big vibranium cards at the moment. But $200 for Spider-Gwen, pretty optimistic about the potential for Spider-Gwen as well as Miles Morales. Unfortunately, the movie is being pushed to next year, so that's kind of a bummer. But definitely a raw card for $208. It's pretty alright. I think the last comp was sold for about $290 and a PSA 9, so about $480. So there is some upside to this. Adding a $50 grading fee and hopefully get a PSA 9. Maybe you don't get $400, but if you get say like $350, $380, you still can make about $100 or a 30% return. So decent pickup for this. Hopefully the condition is okay. This Wolverine here, Rittenhouse, this hits and miss so far for Rittenhouse. There are people who love the Rittenhouse set and some people who just don't know anything about it. So the prices has been on quite a yo-yo scale, right? So this is a Ruby that's out of 50 that I got it for $287. There was an Emerald, a different version of the Rittenhouse edition that's out of 100, which sold for more than $300. So again, where is it dependent on art, depending on the card itself, not so sure, but happy to pick this one up at this particular price for Wolverine and send it to PSA. I do notice that there is a bit of condition issues here. I won't zoom it in, but maybe you can get like a PSA 8 or PSA 9. Right, so finally the last thing I wanted to share with you guys is a purchase that I got from PWCC, which is this card here. Boom, Doctor Strange Jambalaya 2015 PSA 10. Now for you guys who are following my channel, if you think that this card is pretty familiar, it is, because I do have another copy of the PSA 10. So this is a Pop 2, so which means that with this purchase I do have both the Doctor Strange PSA 10. This purchase was a combination of a couple of reasons, right? So the movie is just ended. It was a great movie. I seriously recommend you guys watching it. And Doctor Strange has not been my favorite MCU character, but I do enjoy the story. I do enjoy how the Multiverse of Madness was being portrayed, even though it got a bit confusing initially, but I kind of enjoyed the movie overall. And Doctor Strange do definitely have a place in the entire MCU universe. There's groups of people who kind of like all the action scenes, right? The Iron Mans and the Captain America, all the fighting scenes. But if you like an in-depth story, Doctor Strange movies are pretty awesome. And for this case, because I have the other PSA 10, right? So it's kind of like this whatever this price ends, it's kind of like going to be the comp for that one, right? So if I was to move my other piece, imagine that this was to be sold to somebody else, so definitely this would be the price comp for the piece if I wanted to move. So it was actually a strategic play for me to try to acquire this piece as well, so at least I do have both the PSA 10s for me to determine on what kind of price point that I can move it in the future. Otherwise the PSA 10 I hope will forever be benchmark against this one here. Okay, so that's basically the pickups I had for this particular Sunday. So not that many cards, 8 cards here, but enough to total about $8,000, right, for about 6 cards here. Alright, working on a couple of videos for it now. I've been a bit quiet on the video scene, but a lot of them are coming into production at the moment. So do like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cardboard's out.